So you don't know what no is? Or do you not know what no's meaning is, but you know no's meaning? Or is it the other way around? You watch Cezanne's frustration rise, his face turning red as Sinbad continues to speak. Before he can turn his ire towards Sinbad, Noor steps forward. I will not arrest these two, Cezanne. It is not within your jurisdiction to command the champions. How dare you! The Empress implicitly stated that she should be unable to continue her rule. With her boys still young, then the champions will take over her responsibilities, specifically me. We do not. You watch as Champion Noor fearlessly fuels the flames of hatred. Cezanne's temperature rises. His fists clench together as a fire begins to protrude and bursts from his closed palms. Despite the threatening display, Noor steps forward, placing her hand on both his shoulders. Cezanne, I know you are upset, but it is not wise to make rash decisions right now. I will take care of this, you have my word. Go and be with her. A moment passes and you are unsure of the general's fate. The ferocity in Cezanne's voice and eyes will make any step back in fear, yet the general stands there with confidence. Guess I made friends in the right places. The anger drips off his shoulders, his body relaxing and the flame subsiding from his hands. He says something to Noor, but you can't hear. When he takes his leave, following the same path Sukuth took, he does not spare a glance towards you. The investigation will continue. Ali Baba, I am entrusting you with taking command of this task. Sinbad, I want you to take control of the Imperial Guard while I try to maintain some semblance of political order. Ali Baba twists his head in a small bow. As you wish. I will be delighted to, Noor. Noor lets out a deep sigh. She pinches the bridge of her nose. I believe you. I don't think you did it. However, the person who did, we must investigate as thoroughly as we can. I will have to ask for you to stay here in the palace until further notice. Sinbad, Ali Baba, if all the guests have gone, please show these two to a room. Have a guard stand watch. Without another word, the champions begin to lead you out of the ballroom. The spy master walks behind, somewhat lagging, while Sinbad cheerfully takes the lead. The place is a far better jail than a real cell in the prison tower. Despite this, you can't help but feel afraid of the uncertainty that lay ahead of you. Noor had said she didn't believe you're the attacker, but what would become of you if no one else turned up during your investigation? Your hand goes to your throat, itching at the place where you have just seen criminals hang from. Sometimes their death wasn't swift, leaving them hanging there in agony with no one to help. And it isn't not only your life on the line. If the princess were to die, the catastrophe would be massive. A war would inevitably break out, and millions would die. You feel cornered. You can't tell them the truth. They would either not believe it or label you as possessed. Both options lead to your execution. You had to find out who did this, one way or another, not only for yourself, but for the sake of millions who may die to an outbreak of war. Worst comes to worst. If I value the life of millions, I could just say I was possessed, right? So the princess doesn't die. Your stomach does flips as the realization settles upon your shoulders. Playing detective is never easy. You certainly didn't ask to be thrown into this catastrophe. Now, either you swim or you drown. But even swimming doesn't guarantee that you'll reach the shore. The decorations fade as you walk further from the ballroom, until there is not a trace of the celebration left. The hallways are dim, not anticipating any guests during this event. As you walk, you feel the cold air of the night creep around you, the flames of the candles going out as you tread further into the palace. You feel a hand rest on your shoulder. In the darkness, you can see Sinbad's cheerful blue eyes. Don't worry, the place is the safest place on Gehenna. From behind you, you hear a laugh. So safe. Sinbad waves him off. I'm older, so I know best. That you can't keep using it as a way to win arguments. But I have, and I did win. You didn't win anything, Sinbad. That's what everyone says, and they lose an argument. You hear a grumble, but nothing more from the spy master. So I'm just gonna say right here, obviously, spy master is gonna be the kid that we saved like so many years ago, and that's what's gonna kick off. Like, I'm gonna, I only. It's gonna be hilarious actually if you're like, I know who you are. You're that kid. No, I'm not. Why did the dev put it in the beginning then? I am trying not to make him my type, so we're gonna pretend he's a normal person. Finally, you approach a pair of golden double doors. With a single gesture, Sinbad brings the candles to life, illuminating the area around you. Ali Baba steps out from behind the group and produces a chain of keys. Many, many keys from a pocket. Without any pauses, he takes one from the bunch and places it within the lock, turning the key with a soft click. He stops before opening the door, standing there motionless. After a beat, he turns to Sinbad and gestures with his head. Is something wrong? Anka's voice is barely above a whisper, but she doesn't dare keep a step further. Instead, she takes one back. He follows suit, not willing to take the chance. Sinbad places the hand on the door and closes his eyes, seemingly sensing for something within the room. No one makes a sound as he did so, waiting patiently for him to speak. I can't feel anything. No heartbeats. No breathing. Stand back. The spy master flings the doors open. A den of snakes slithers frantically out of the room as spiders crawl onto the ceilings and walls. Anka lets out a scream before placing a barrier around the two of you. Thank you. Sinbad watches the display in confusion as Ali Baba stomps down on one of the snakes before it can get away. The princess covers her mouth, face tinted green with disgust. He crouches down the floor, examining the snake. Now that the chaos has subsided somewhat, you're able to get a better look as well. It is pitch black and more worm-like than a snake. The pattern of its scales resembles red hieroglyphic eyes. Instead of blood, metallic black begins to pool underneath it, before finally dissolving into dust. The spy master stands straight, and Anka drops her protective barrier, still staying far away with her hand on her mouth and nose. The smell hits you then. It is indistinguishable, but vile. It turns in your nostrils and scratches away at your throat. You can nearly taste the rot in your mouth. It smells like someone left a corpse in the sun, the smell of decaying flesh and fresh bile mixing with the humidity. You couldn't feel anything because it wasn't living. Sinbad leans closer to the dust of the creature before reeling back, gagging and coughing. By the flame, that is awful. Do you know what it is, Ali? By the gods, get that thing away from me. I feel like I'm suffocating on someone's corpse. Ali Baba dips his tail into the metallic liquid. But just as the skin makes contact, you hear the sound of sizzling. He does not remove his tail immediately, but he grabs onto it and examines the burn mark closely. This guy has a tail! You hate the smell because it's iron. Pure iron. Let's take them to another room. Come on. We're just gonna ignore the fact that we were possibly assassinating ourselves. The spy master heads down the hallway. That whole thing just happened like after they said, this is the safest place. Sinbad, taking a broad step over the pool of iron, follows suit. Anka hesitates, staring at the pool before sighing deeply. She says nothing as she joins the other two. You catch up to them, thankful to escape the threatening smell. Your journey to another, more lively part of the palace proceeds in total silence. No one attempts conversation, either of exhaustion or from fear. After that display, you feel watched, as though any closed door could contain another nest of iron, snakes, and spiders. You are familiar with this part of the palace. It is where the magisters stay during their biannual meetings. The rooms are well maintained and safe, considering their proximity to the champions' rooms. Where you were before were just as beautiful as you were now, but the eerie quiet of the empty apartments had filled you with an ease. At least here you can hear the steps of servants, the clatter of butlers and maids. Ali Baba stops in front of another pair of grand doors, the design just the same as the one before. He opens it, not having to use any sort of key. You brace for another swarm, but are met with a simple but elegant room. You're reluctant to approach. After watching Sinbad nonchalantly strut inside, you feel reassured. I'll stand guard tonight, Sinbad. Tomorrow night you stand guard, and then Noor. Annika breaks her silence, finally speaking up. And why is that? I thought Noor said for a guard to watch the stand, not a champion. After that display, it wouldn't be safe for a mere guard to stand watch. Oh, and it's safer for the spy master, who accused us of treason, to stand watch instead. There'll be no difference between here or there, because there will still be a snake slithering around as we sleep. Her tone is harsh enough that it catches you by surprise. Annika looks at you as she gestures to the spy master, who doesn't seem very bothered by her tone. I'm sure Sinbad would make a better champion than him. I don't even know what a champion is. I don't know. And I'm just saying this objectively, like, he's the one who, like, sensed the snake thing. Sorry, I'm overthinking this. They're, like, looking at me. I'm like, well, I think it should be fine. Annika looks pleased with your answer, but doesn't defend her stance any longer. Instead, she turns to sit on the bed, apprehensive and irritation mingling in her expression. Sinbad claps his hands together with such ferocity it creates a snap loud enough to startle you and the princess. He apparently has no clue of his own strength, considering that when you look to him, he's just smiling merrily. Alibaba's a wonderful sleeping. He's not sleeping with us. We spend more nights together, and they're delightful. You watch Alibaba place a hand over the grates of his mask and look away from the group, his shoulders shaking as he laughs himself. When he regains his composure, he places a hand on Sinbad's shoulder. His eyes fill with glee. You're right. I am a wonderful bed companion. I would look away. I'd be like, I'm not a part of this conversation. He looks at you and Annika. But we wouldn't be doing those things tonight, Sinbad. I'll be awake, standing watch. Sinbad scratches his jaw, clueless as to what Alibaba is referring to. They're flirting with the prisoners. It appears he has lost himself in the conversation, unaware. I just need to keep going. Ah, very well. I shall retire to my room. Sleep well, my friends. When Sinbad leaves, Alibaba gestures to the closet as he takes a seat on a nest of pillows just by the balcony doors. Some sleepwear should be in there. I'm sure it'll fit. That's actually pretty considerate, though. You come in here in whatever finery. You have to sleep in this nice room. You walk over to the closet and pull open the doors, revealing an array of white sleeping gowns and shirts hung up neatly in place. You briefly wonder whom they belong to, but the guilt passes when you think about how it would be more comfortable to sleep in these than your current outfits. It's interesting we have a flicker of that thought because, remember, we still have that mystery on this of missing people, so do you mind? Alibaba does not move from his place, even as you begin to undress. Alright. I don't mind at all, do you? Yes, I do! Please at least give us some privacy and look away. He lets out an annoyed sigh, moving his attention elsewhere, particularly outside towards the balcony. Will you help me remove my dress? Yes, I will, ma'am. You nod, and she approaches, turning her back to you. She pulls her dreads out of the way. Cool, we got some canon detail on how her hair is done. She pulls her dreads out of the way, letting your fingers free the latches that hold the dress up. She shrugs off the dress, and the fabric cascades down to her ankles, exposing her bare back. You can feel heat rushing to your cheeks. You step away to get changed into something more comfortable yourself. You and Annika settle in, not taking any time to explore the room. Exhaustion has settled deep within your bones, and the only thing you can care about is getting some oh no, my camera!